Hey guys, today I want to talk about gay icons. So even just the phrase gay icon is pretty interesting, right? Because I feel like these days everybody's called iconic, and a lot of people I think are trying to be gay icons, or maybe just their fan bases consider them gay icons, and I would not personally consider them gay icons, and I think a lot of people would be annoyed to think of them being associated with what it means to be gay, because sometimes it seems a little what's the phrase? Exploitative. Like it feels like maybe they're just trying to do that to make more money, because it's profitable, because it's trendy to, be down with the gays or whatever. So I think there's a lot of people who are polarizing, who are considered gay icons. So I want to talk today about 5 gay icons who to me are true gay icons and are truly associated with what that concept is supposed to mean. So the first one I want to talk about is Freddie Mercury. Freddie Mercury was the lead singer of one of the biggest rock groups of all time, Queen. Freddie Mercury was actually gay, and the tragic thing, of course, about him is that he was one of the first famous people to die of AIDS. But on top of that, people didn't know that he was gay. I mean, maybe in his personal life people knew, and maybe even a lot of fans speculated and thought so, but this was an era where people didn't really talk about this. It was pretty taboo. So on the surface, he was just this rock singer, and he was notoriously very private about his personal life. And the sad thing is, I do believe that it wasn't until the day before his death from AIDS that he not only came out, but was like, I have this disease. And just to think about how unfortunate that is, that there was so much shame even around HIV and AIDS, and that was so controversial that he didn't even tell the world until he was about to die. That he couldn't even express the fact that he had this life-altering and ultimately life-ending disease that he was, I guess, keeping secret from the public. He was so talented and had this incredible set of vocal cords. So I think he is sort of an ideal figure of what it means to be a gay icon, in that he had this tragic life and he was actually gay, but he had something of substance that touched people and that changed the future of music. He had an impact with Queen on what the future sort of anthology of rock music would be. Going off of that, the second person I want to talk about is George Michael. So similarly, I think George Michael was a super talented guy who died too soon. And again, he hid it from the world that he was gay. Until he wasn't as relevant anymore, which is something that we tend to see with gay pop stars, right? Like, people kind of speculate, and a lot of people think they might be gay, but they don't talk about it until they're not at the peak of their career anymore, which is unfortunate. But what I like about George Michael is that once he revealed that he was gay, he always stood by that. He became very open, and I remember when he got caught doing some lewd things in a public bathroom, he wrote a song about it to poke fun at what had happened and to try to flip it upside down and, I guess, regain control over people shaming him for something he had done as a gay person and as a sexual being, I guess. He wrote a song called Outside, making fun of it. So even just his career, I think, was very much a gay icon career, in that he was never androgynous, but there was definitely a bit of there was a pretty boy-ness to his music, especially the Wham days, and his image, and when he did the Freedom video, which is all about wanting to be free, and the whole video is these beautiful supermodels walking around. Like, looking back at that, it's a very gay moment. And one of my favorite all-time songs is this song he wrote called Jesus to a Child, which was about his lover that died of AIDS. So you can't really get more gay iconish than that, I think. The next person I want to talk about is Diana Ross. For me, Diana Ross is the most popular classic example of a gay icon. She was this beautiful, she's still alive, but she was this beautiful woman who would come on stage and just be elegant, just exude elegance and sing these wonderful ballads, and even the more pop fun songs were just they had a spirit, they had an angelicness. Like Ain't No Mountain High Enough, she would just come on and there was just this this air, this feeling. And I think also what makes her a gay icon is the fact that she didn't grow up having, you know, a silver spoon in her mouth, and she grew up in the hood in, I believe, Detroit, and she saw potential for a career. And she was a diamond in the rough. She wasn't the cute girl. She wasn't a great singer or somebody who people would have seen as a star, but she adapted who she was. She said this, that she adapted her voice, her look, and she became not only a gay icon, but just an icon period of that era, and probably one of maybe the first really famous black woman that black people loved and that white people adored. And obviously gay men adored as well. Going off of that, for me, the only modern, real modern gay icon who exists is Mariah Carey. Similarly to Diana Ross, you know, didn't have the easiest childhood, and she often talks about struggles that she's had in her life, even post becoming famous. But through the campiness and the diva stuff, to me, there's a chicness and a sophistication to Mariah Carey and her voice and her music that her peers, and especially pop stars now, never reach and never really get. I don't think she has the greatest taste in clothes, but when I think of Mariah Carey, I think of her the way that I think of Diana Ross. I see her on stage in this elaborate, really feminine dress, singing these songs that have helped change the course of pop music. And the other thing about Mariah Carey is her most famous songs, and what she's most notorious for musically, in my opinion, is writing these ballads, these sad songs that always have an optimistic curve, like an optimistic chorus or an optimistic climax in the song, where it's like, despite trouble, pain, agony, whatever, there's always this faith. And to me, that's very much a concept rooted in gay culture and gay history. Now, going off of that, for me, the original OG gay icon has to be Judy Garland, right? Similarly to everybody that I just mentioned before her. There was a mix of campiness and kitschiness to her career, right, with Wizard of Oz and very Dorothy-esque performances, but she had this tragic life, and she had an addiction, and a very sad life, and again, somebody who died prematurely. But the legacy is there, and the talent was there, right? And through the hardships, she had a voice, literally and figuratively. And it's pretty cool to think about this, but she's associated with two songs that are forever classics now in the American Songbook, right? The first one being Somewhere Over the Rainbow from The Wizard of Oz. The second one, I think a lot of people don't know, her performance of Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Did I say that right? Have Yourself a Merry Little, yes. Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. She sang the original version of that song, which was in a movie called Meet Me in St. Louis. So that and Somewhere Over the Rainbow, she's associated with not only those songs, but these classic movies. And that legacy is forever there. Like, nobody can ever take that away. And so again, I think it's an example of this great talent who will always be remembered, but there's that sadness and that tragedy, and yet she always had this image of, you know, the perfect, you know, optimistic, Dorothy-esque character. So that, again, I think is quintessentially forever part of gay culture. Let me know what you think of these 5 gay icons that I chose. I'm curious to see who you think is a gay icon, and if you could pick 5, who would you pick?